Well, hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to our second Tuesday show that we are doing now and through the campaign period till November 7th. I'm Tim Lamb, the director of the Texas Retired Teachers Association, and it's great to have all of you here with our monthly program. And for those of you, excuse me, that are joining us live from one of our chapters, one of our chapter leaders or a district president, with TRTA. Thank you so much to our TRTA leaders for meeting with us over the last 2 days. And we have another couple of days to go of leadership meetings with our chapter presidents, our district presidents, our board of directors, our staff. We are all putting together a tremendous campaign for passing Proposition 9, the initiative that will provide retirees with a cost of living increase this November. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about what we are doing in the month of August. And then I'm going to give you some things to look forward to as we get into September and October. But I do want to give a special shout out to all of our chapter presidents in TRTA that have taken time out of their schedule over the last 2 days. And for those of you that are going to be meeting with us tomorrow or the rest of the week, looking forward to those discussions. There's so much that's going on. And so, again, thank you all for being here. What we have been communicating to our chapter leaders and with our volunteer grassroots leaders around the state is that August is a month for planning and getting ready for a major campaign. Now, I'm gonna have to tell you all about some things that we're doing, and then we're going to start making those things available in the coming days. But let me kind of give a big picture overview of what's happening, why it's happening the way that it is. Those of you who are maybe new to TRTA or that you're new to watching these shows, this is an opportunity for us to get everybody on the same page with what we're doing legislatively. Sometimes that's with our advocacy during the legislative session. Sometimes it's talking about things that we're doing on the congressional level. But today we're talking about our campaign to win on Proposition 9. Now, this show was really going to be focused on what we believed was going to be happening tomorrow. But what was supposed to happen tomorrow actually happened last Friday. And so many of you watched our live reveal for Proposition 9, or the number that we were receiving on the constitutional ballot, which is we are ballot initiative number 9. We were there. TRTA was there. We took some pictures. Roy, you may have seen some of these pictures on social media. And Roy, if you have those, you want to show them, that's great. If not, that's okay too. But this was the inside the Secretary of State's office last Friday morning. They had all of the ballot initiatives laid out, and they posted them on these great big poster boards in the order that they actually, when they say they were going to draw them out of a hat to see what the order is, that's exactly what they did. So they had, they used, somebody's hat, and they put all the numbers in hat, and they started pulling them out, and we were waiting to see what number we were going to turn out to be, and so our COLA ballot initiative is number 9. All right, Roy, we can take those down, but TRTA is always going to be there for our members. If there is an opportunity for us to be engaged in the process, you can count on us being there, which is what was going on. And so we got our number. We thought that was going to happen tomorrow, but it actually happened Friday. Proposition 9, as I said, that process is going to move forward over the next couple of weeks. The Secretary of State's office has a process that they follow through. That's not just a number, but they do a little bit of a summary of what those items are. And I do have, I'm going to read it to you. We have the ballot initiative language, and in the last day or two, people have said, well, what is that language? Is it something that's easy to understand? So the actual ballot language, and I think this is in other inside lines that we've published in the past, but the ballot language is Proposition 9, the constitutional amendment authorizing the 88th legislature to provide a cost of living adjustment to certain annuitants of the teacher retirement system of Texas. So that's the language, pretty straightforward. The ballot is going to say for and against, and our message is vote for Prop 9. And so this month of August, we, as I said, are getting ready as an organization to conduct this massive statewide campaign in support of Proposition 9 all the way, all around Texas. And we've been meeting with our leaders to do that. So if you're watching this and you are not in TRTA leadership and you're wondering, what can I do to be helping in this effort? And I've got some suggestions for you today. So as TRTA gears up, our grassroots members really need to be focusing on a few major action steps that will be taken as we get into September and October. I think most of us know that the traditional campaign season on these kinds of things really happens after Labor Day. And so the first thing I want all of us to get right is the timeline for the time horizon for this process. And we're gearing up, we're excited, we're ready to go. And the reality is that most Texas voters are not paying attention to these constitutional amendments right now. And we, as a grassroots organization, are going to have to steer that attention in a positive way towards Proposition 9 as the months unfold. And so, like we've said in other instances on this show, we are very much in a marathon right now. This is not a sprint to the finish line. We know that September and October are going to be critical months for action steps. And as you get into the month of October, especially, is really when you start getting people to focus in on what you're asking them to do. But our frame of mind is that our work starts now, and it's been going on for several months already. But for you as a TRTA member, keep in mind that time horizon. That is probably your first step in this process, is understand we have to go from here we are in August all the way to November. And we've got some important dates that I'm going to talk about during the show that will give you a little bit more clarity on how these things are going to roll out. But the number one thing that I need you all to focus on right now is just we got to make this thing last and our energy level last between now until the election day in November. Second thing that I'd like for you all to start thinking about is a voter plan that you are registered to vote. Some of you maybe have recently moved or made changes, or you just want to check on your voter status. TRTA is going to be really pushing voter registration, voter awareness in the coming days and weeks as we go through August. And so there are various websites that you can use to check on that. We generally have a pretty low voter turnout overall in the state of Texas, especially when it's only, on a statewide look. The biggest thing that's going on statewide are these ballot initiatives. Now, some of you all who may live in the Houston area, there are some big elections going on in Houston. There's some other things that are going on across the state in different localities that may be on your ballot. But the reality is that it's only a few million people that actually show up to vote on this. And so we want to make sure that you have a plan to be there and be ready to vote. And while you're making sure that you're ready to vote, TRTA is also asking that you think about the power of our grassroots, especially as it comes to your personal network, the folks that you know. And we are asking our members to commit to bringing 10 people to the polls with them this November. If you look at the voter statistics from 2021, and I don't have them in front of me, I looked at these a while back, and we saw about 2 million people show up to vote on the constitutional amendments that are the referendum, the propositions that were happening in 2021. Not a lot of folks. We know that there are about approximately 400,000 ish number of folks that will benefit from the cost of living increase that's part of Prop 9. And we are for Prop 9. And if Prop 9 passes, those hundreds of thousands of TRS retirees are going to get a much needed cost of living increase. If every one of our members that is going to benefit from Prop 9 shows up and votes for it, well, that's 400,000 votes right there. But if every one of those people shows up and brings 10 people, we will dominate this election cycle. And so the power of our effort is not found in how many dollars may be behind an advertising campaign or other slick kinds of communications that may be going on. The power of our effort is that all of you know someone who will vote with you. And your network as educators and as people who served in our public education community is so incredible. There are many groups that would love to have a quarter of the clout that you all have with people in the state of Texas. And so our membership, our grassroots, the power of TRTA can truly be displayed in this election process if we understand and grab onto and hold on to this reality that you can bring people with you to the vote, to vote for this. Proposition 9 is going to help thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in Texas that have never had an increase in their retirement benefits. It's going to help hundreds of thousands of people, and it's going to do that by not increasing anyone's taxes. It's going to use a portion of our state's resources that came in large part, through sales tax receipts. And the fact that our retirees are such a vital economic part of our state of Texas, that as they spend their money in Texas and they were paying higher rates on everything else that was costing more, a lot of the money that has been building up in state coffers has been coming from our retired school employees of Texas. And so we're going to be able to pass Proposition 9, and we're going to do that with all of our retirees supporting it. But as an organization, we want to send a message. We want to send a message to all people who are in office or who are going to run for office someday, that if you give us a challenge, and that challenge is rallying up the people that really support us, they're going to show up with us. And so I am asking you to start thinking right now about 10 people that you will convince to vote for Proposition 9, and that you have a certain amount of influence over to make sure they actually show up and do it. Even if that means that you've got to drive them to the polls or to work with them to get there, but be planning on that right now. I've already started working on my list of 10 people, and I'm going to try to get more than that. I want to try to get at least 20 people. I've already started thinking about friends that I know at the church that I go to, friends that I have here in my hometown of Dripping Springs, business friends that I have, people that I interact with. These people are, they're going to support it because I'm asking them to, and because it is an important cause and something that we need to do. You all are awesome. And your ability to get people committed to this is way beyond anything that I personally could do. Because number one, you're the ones that are going to benefit. And so these folks want to help you. So right now, time horizon, it's going to take between now and November 7th for us to get through this. We are very much in a planning phase. And so we're organizing and planning. And so get a list of people right now that you can think of that you are going to make sure vote for Proposition 9. If you really want to study propositions in Texas, you'll start seeing that a lot of propositions do well to get about 80% support. Now, some don't get that much. Some, get more than that. Some may get, less than that. But, a generally accepted approval on some of these propositions, you're doing pretty well if you can get around an 80% rate. I would love for our Proposition 9 to do way beyond the 80% threshold. I want us to blow the doors off of whatever people think is an acceptable amount of approval for this proposition. And so much of that can be accomplished just by asking people, registered voters, to show up and vote. Now, I told you there were going to be some important days for me to pass on to you. If some of your friends say, hey, I don't normally vote, but since you're asking me to, I'll show up and vote, but I don't know if I'm actually registered to vote. Well, we'll be able to help you get them registered to vote. And the important thing to remember about voter registration is that for you to be eligible to vote in this election, the time frame, the cutoff date is October 10th. So you need to be registered to vote by October 10th. So that's the first important date. And if you're talking to friends, family, folks that you're trying to get in your list of 10 to make sure they're registered, get that process accomplished. Do it long before the October 10th time frame. But that's the time horizon that you're dealing with voter registration. The other time horizon that you want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on is October 23rd to November 3rd. So as you start thinking about your calendar of activities for this fall, you want to circle October 23rd. That is when early voting starts. Today is August 8th. It is 4:18 p.m. on August 8th. So I always like to tell everybody, hey, we are really live here. So when you're looking at the dates, we've got about almost 2-3 months to go. So if you look on the TRTA website, there is a countdown calendar. We have exactly 90 days left between now and November 7th voting day. So, but October 23rd, that's the start of early voting, and it goes until November 3rd. So get your 10. If you can get 20, even better. Get your 10, make sure they're registered, and then keep an eye on October 23rd to November 3rd, because that's when early voting starts. So planning, preparing, getting this stuff in advance is critical. Some other things that you can be doing right now. Obviously, you all who are watching this are pretty comfortable in the world of social media. And so TRTA is working on some big events happening as we get past Labor Day and we get into the second Tuesday of September. We're going to be launching some pretty cool social media activities. So if you're one of our local chapter social media experts and you want to communicate with your local chapter president and say, hey, I'll volunteer to be one of the chapter social media communicators, they're looking for you right now. And so please work with your chapter. Let them know that you'd be ready to engage in a social media campaign. And so we are going to really need some help communicating these activities through social media. So if that's you, please let your chapter president know, and they'll be happy to pair you up with some of the items that are coming out. The next show that we will do live is going to be September 12th, 4 o'clock, second Tuesday in September. And during that show, we're going to make a major announcement about a social media blitz that will start on September 13th. So you're going to want to tune in for that show. When that show is over, we're going to launch that social media blitz, and we want you to be a part of it. And we're going to send out some information through our inside line. And so if you are not currently signed up for the TRTA Inside Line, which is our free email newsletter, you will want to make sure that you are signed up for that so that you will get that information and be able to use it as soon as it comes out. So this show, again, is about making a checklist of the things that you can be getting ready for in the month of August so that when we get past Labor Day, we're going to be ready to go. All right, a couple of other items that we're going to stress with you as our TRTA members of things that you can do to help us. If you are if you're willing to have a yard sign in at your home, I would encourage you to reach out to your chapter in the coming days, or they may be reaching out to you. We're looking for really nice places that we can have some yard signs. TRTA is producing our yard signs. If you are a TRTA member and you know that you would be willing to hand out flyers or cards and volunteer your time and for those efforts, as we roll into September, our chapters are going to be organizing the distribution of what we call push cards and other information to educate the voters. And so here's a great opportunity for you to get involved with some folks that I'm sure you're going to have a lot of fun getting to know. And some of you are veterans of our TRTA local chapters, and some of you may be saying, "What is a TRTA chapter? I don't even belong to a chapter." Well, this is a great opportunity. TRTA has 240 or more chapters across the state of Texas, and you can log into our TRTA website and learn more about our districts and our chapters. And you can reach out to us, and we would be happy to help you find a chapter that would best fit your needs based on where you live. And if you are currently looking for those opportunities, by all means, now is the time to do it. TRTA has never been involved in a campaign like this in the past. Our efforts have primarily focused on grassroots advocacy in the legislative process. And now we're needing to expand and stretch our muscles in the campaign process on this specific proposal that is out there for us to get passed in the November election. And so if you're looking for opportunities for involvement, so much of the work that we are going to be doing happening at the grassroots level, being orchestrated and managed and promoted through our TRTA chapters. So I'd love for you to get involved in those chapters. There are many aspects to being executive director of the Texas Retired Teachers Association. One of the most fun aspects of being involved as the executive director of the Texas Retired Teachers Association is that I am privileged to be asked as a speaker to a lot of our local chapters. And I absolutely love going to our chapter meetings. They're exciting. I get to see a lot of folks that I have become friends with over the years, and new people that I get to meet, and we really have a great time. So if you are looking to get to know some people and want to be a part of something special, then I would ask that you get involved in our chapter network and get ready for this activity. All right, a few other things that I would mention because they have come to my attention from emails or communications from members. And one of those is that somebody communicated to me and said, "Hey, I am not going to benefit from this increase if it passes in November, but I am still going to do everything that I can to vote for it and help you win." And I was so impressed with that attitude because look, our role as an organization, the whole purpose for TRTA and what we do, why we exist, is to promote and protect the well-being of our members. And we know that this measure that was passed in the legislature benefited a lot of people. Some people, though, did not benefit from it. We are still asking for their help. We, as an organization, are always going to champion the needs of our members. And that means that we are also going to champion the needs of our members in the next legislative session and the legislative session after that, and every legislative session so long as TRTA exists. And we are asking that for those of you that may not have benefited from the legislation that passed, if you would still find ways to help us, we desperately need it, and we want to stand in solidarity together because we know that in the future, while we may not want to have one of these political campaigns, ever again, if we need to, there will be people coming back to vote on these matters for you. of course, we as an organization always work for the benefit of all of our members together. And so please help us in those regards and continue to find ways to get involved in those chapters and be a part of this process. Now, I know there's a lot of activities and things that are happening in August and items that you can prepare for. One other little special item that I'm going to go ahead and ask is that if you are a TRTA member that is not too shy of talking to what I would call traditional media, newspapers, television, radio, if you've got a story or if you've got a compelling story that you might share, it's very likely that during the next couple of months between September and October, TRTA will be contacted by various media outlets and they will ask, hey, do you have any retirees that we can talk to in your network in this part of the state? And so we don't need anybody reaching out to the media right now. That is not what I'm asking for. But what I am asking for is that if you are a person that would be willing in the coming weeks or months to talk to media, again, put that on your list of things to potentially talk to your chapter president, TRTA chapter president about and say, hey, if the newspaper comes calling, I would be happy to talk to those folks. Then we will add you to our list as potential media contacts for your part of the state. Now, my final request on the media is sort of interesting, but it is something that I do know because I've talked to a lot of journalists all over Texas, and that is that so many of the journalists covering Texas political events, they have parents and grandparents that are either active teachers or retired teachers. And so if you know that you have a connection to some media outlets because you have friends or family that are the journalists that are covering these stories, you may want to reach out to them in advance and say, hey, I think you should be covering this Proposition 9. And in the event that you do, here is the group that you want to talk to. It's the Texas Retired Teachers Association. So point them our direction. I cannot tell you how many times I have talked to a journalist, and when the interview is over, the thing that they always tell me, not always, but a lot of times they will tell me is, well, my mother is a retiree from Northside ISD or someplace in Texas, and we sit there and talk about what it was like having a parent who was an educator, and they know very well that educators did not get into that profession to get rich, and they're usually cutting corners for their own family to take care of the needs of their students. And I just think that is such an awesome story that I hear from the journalists when I'm not on the record talking to them, and they always have their stories about mom, dad, brother, sister, cousins, grandma, grandparents. So if you've got those connections, let us know. All right. Somebody was reaching out to me just the other day saying, hey, I may have some connections with some big name Texas celebrities, some sports officials. And so if you have some connections with somebody who has some credibility or a network of people, or they may have some celebrity to them, let us know. They may be willing to help us create a social media post that says they support Proposition 9, and they can distribute to their wide audience a message of support for this proposition. So we are not going to leave any opportunity unchecked when it comes to getting our message out to support and vote for Proposition 9. And I'm going to wrap this broadcast was kind of a checklist of things for you all to be doing, kind of an overview of some of the things that we have going on. I'm going to give a few pieces of information here that kind of help you plan for the coming months. But I really wanted you to get some knowledge about what you can do, because I have a lot of people asking, well, what can I do? Well, time horizon. Get your 10, get your network of 10, think about who those are, volunteer with your chapter, know that we've got information that has to be distributed, signs that are going to have to be put out, communication that's going to need to occur, social media engagement, getting ready for that. Uh, we are not asking you to do any of those things yet. We are only asking you to get your plan together, and your chapter presidents will like you so much better when they know that you have received the message and that you are going to be a willing volunteer in the coming weeks and months. Again, I want to emphasize something that is so vitally important. The major push for this campaign starts after Labor Day. We are in the final preparing phase, the preparation phase right now. But after Labor Day, it is rubber meets the road, action steps all the way to October 23rd. When we get to voting, October 23rd to November 3rd, it's going to be like a resurgence of more activity that we'll be organizing together as a state association to really make sure that that message is out. And then once we close with the early voting, we'll be pushing messaging about the final day of voting on November 7th. And who knows what is going to happen and how many Texans are going to show up to vote for all of these different propositions. But I just think it would be awesome to have a news story where somebody said, I cannot believe how many people showed up to vote in this election cycle. It must have been those retired school employees that brought 10 or 20 people with them to the polls to vote for Proposition 9. I'll take credit for that. I know that we all would love to take credit for that. So, all right, I'm going to take just a quick look at some of these comments and see if there are a couple things that I can share with folks. Let me go ahead and say this because I know we've sent out some information about what we're doing to get ready for the vote on Proposition 9. And I will get people writing me an email that says, what is going on with the Social Security items? And very similar to the kind of reports that I would tell you during the legislative session, TRTA works all the time on all of these issues. And while we are spending a lot of our energy visibly on getting ready for the vote coming for Proposition 9, it does not mean that we are still not participating in what is happening in Washington on items with the windfall elimination and the government pension offset. What I know on the WEP right now is that there are more and more people signing up for the full repeal. I believe that is still HR 82. That is getting closer to having the number of folks on it that it could potentially move through the process a little easier. They had that same number of supporters in the last congressional cycle, and it still didn't move. And so we're working with leadership on the congressional side to see exactly what can we get done with the windfall. Vital importance that we get the windfall repealed and fix the government pension offset. Like we said during the legislative session, when the Texas legislature voted unanimously to support the measure that urged Congress for a full repeal of the WEP and the GPO, that TRTA was championing that effort at the state level, we know that Congress is responsible for taking those actions. There would be much less pressure on the state of Texas to manage our retirement system if Congress would get rid of the Social Security provisions and allow you to have the Social Security benefits that you should be entitled to receive based on your contributions, your work history. We all know that the WEP is completely and totally unfair, and that the GPO is hurting many, many people. And I didn't want to spend a lot of time talking about that today. But for those of you who are saying, "Hey, are they even thinking about that right now?" We think about it every day. We work on it every day. I make phone calls and emails. We communicate with our congressional members on this on a daily basis. And so it is happening. It's, as you know, we're focusing on the things that we have to get done right now. So taking a look at some more of the comments, a lot of comments today, and some of these are probably going to be better for me to respond to in the social media where they're posts after I get done. So, all right. I think that's probably enough show for us today. I knew it wasn't going to be a terribly long show, but hopefully it's getting you charged up and energized and thinking, planning, and getting ready. September is going to be all about action, action, action. October, more action, and the distribution of our materials. Y'all are going to love the things that we're producing, and we're making those things available in late August, early September for your use. And we're excited to get them to you. And we're going to be promoting those like crazy at the beginning of September, just after Labor Day. So, y'all, with that, I'm going to say thank you so much, and appreciate all that you're doing, and look forward to engaging with all of you after the show is over with comments on the things that you've been asking in your comment section. So, y'all have a great day. Thank you so much for all that you're doing. Take care. Bye-bye.